In this tutorial, we'll walk through how to build this scene from start to finish, step by step. At the beginning, I'll bring in all the assets and images I need into the timeline so we can start organizing the scene and then animate it later. For the assets I used, I mostly found them on Google. You can also use Figma or Pinterest, and sometimes I generate my own assets using Gemini or ChatGPT. Now I'm going to add a tint effect to both the building and the floor. I'm also adding a levels effect and adjusting the values slightly until I get a good result. Now I'm adding a solid layer as a background. Next, I'll use a gradient color effect to make the scene feel more dynamic. For me, I'm going to use these colors. Feel free to use whatever you like. Now I'm adding a text layer, which will be the main text in the scene. I'm going to add a tape PNG that I found online. Just search tape PNG and you'll find plenty of options. I'll drag it into the timeline and use it as the main shape for our second text. Now I'm going to add the second text and slightly adjust it to fit the tape. After that, I'll pre-compose them together. Now for the fun part, I'm going to turn every layer into 3D and add a camera to create some movement in the scene. I'm going to adjust the layer position so that when we animate the camera, the scene has more depth and looks better. Now I'm going to add a zoom in animation just like in the first tutorial. I already explained the graphs there, so you can simply copy my graph and you're good to go. Since I made the scene longer, I extended the pre-comp as well so they stay in sync. Now I'm going to add the text animation. To achieve this result, I'll animate the text scale and apply the simple choker effect. Just follow along and copy what I'm doing. And for a smooth animation, just adjust the graph and copy the same one I'm using here. I'm going to add another null object and link it to the camera to create more movement in the scene. For the tape, I'm going to use the CC page turn effect and animate it so it flows in like a piece of paper. For the building animation, just add a rotation and a position slide in. It's simple. Just follow what I'm doing. For smoother motion, make the position ease in and use a mid-graph for the rotation. And that's it. We've completed the first scene. Easy, right? Now let's move on to the second one and break it down. For the second scene, we'll start by adding a white background. After that, we'll add the main text and adjust it perfectly within the scene. Once that's done, we'll bring in the main objects, which I generated using AI as I mentioned before. Just follow along with me. Here, I generated the hands and the plate using AI. Now I'm going to mask each part slightly into separate layers. Just watch to understand better. Now I'm gonna link all the parts together and parent everything to the hand. So when I move the hand, everything moves with it. Okay, now that everything is set, we'll create a simple animation for the hand using rotation and position. Now I'm going to animate the other hand so it comes in and grabs the plate using position and rotation. Here, I just noticed that I didn't link the food to the plate, which is why it's not moving with the other objects. Here, I'm going to parent the hand to a null so we can create another movement where it exits the scene while holding the plate. We'll also cut the plate at the exact moment the hand moves out, so it looks like it's taking the plate with it. Hope that makes sense. Right, now that everything is set, let's convert all the layers to 3D and add a camera to create movement and bring the scene to life. Here I'm linking the eggs to the text and adjusting the position to create depth in the scene. After that, I'll animate the text using the TextEvo plugin. If you don't have it, you can use the standard method I explained in the previous tutorial. I'll also animate the eggs using scale and position so they match the text. All right, now that everything looks good, let's add shadows to the elements to give the scene more depth and realism. All right, the second scene is done. It's really easy. Just follow along with me and everything will be clear.